Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh, and I have with me today.
This is Patty XRP. Excited to
So,
talk a little XRP price rise and some DeFi.
today, what an exciting day! I mean, 90 cents we hit over. It was almost 94 cents I saw on Binance. So we're really starting to see XRP take off now with the rest of the market and lead the market. I mean, when's the last time we had a 50% rise? I mean, in one day, and this is just the beginning of something bigger that's going to unfold here with the SEC case. So we are now going over 90 cents, and we've yet to see XRP be cleared as a security, which is coming shortly, in my opinion. And also then with the Ripple ending the case with the SEC. So this is going to be other events that could take place to give us a rise, and also the Flare going live. So what's your thoughts on this, Patty, with the price rise?
Yeah, I've been asked many times today. Why is the price going up? And I kind of like to point people just to the fact that it's crypto and it's hard to tell at any one point. But I think it's a culmination of things. Obviously, the market I think overreacted back during when the SEC case was first filed. I never imagined that XRP was going to lose 2/3 of its value from that. And then to add on to that, XRP is still being used throughout the globe. I think people see that. There's companies outside of Ripple working on the XRP ledger, like SBI. They're not located in the US. And also Ripple has, arms outside the US and everything too. So there's still a lot of development going on. There's still a lot of use. And I think the market's just realizing that it's a very resilient blockchain. It's not controlled just in the US. Otherwise, that would defeat the whole purpose. So I feel like the market's starting to come to its senses a little bit. We all know that XRP actually has a use case and is utilized throughout the globe via payments and everything. And then also, I think as more people learn about Flare networks, they're going to be excited to utilize XRP on the Flare network. So a lot of things
Absolutely.
going on. Yeah. And I think it just all kind of builds together. And we know from the past that XRP normally consolidates for long periods of time and then pops off the hardest out of any of the other coins. And it just seems to be kind of following a historical path at this point until the day it
Absolutely.
doesn't. And that's, the real utility kicking in.
Yeah, this is now we're starting to see that pump like it's had historically, and the on ledger payment volume and trading volume continues. So for the SEC to say that there's no utility is they're really ignoring the fact that it's publicly verifiable evidence, factual, that there is plenty of trading volume taking place and payment. So the XRP is the only currency native to the XRP ledger that has no counterparty in a payment and an FX exchange market built into one. And that's really the power of the XRP ledger. So it's undisputable evidence, and Deaton will prove this in court. So we don't really have to worry. It's going to be deemed not a security. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and that is coming soon. So we're still to see that price rise. And now we got Flare, like Patty said, coming live now. And this price rise with XRP going up all in value, this is going to affect the Flare network's use by the market and the community. So with the value of XRP higher, it will give XRP holders and owners more ability to do things in the Flare network. So for example, you're minting your FXRP, it's the dollar value of that FXRP that earns you Spark in Flare. So now if you have more value in your XRP, you could earn more rewards. And this will also give us more Spark to put up as collateral. So recently we heard news about, just last video I did was on Flare Finance. And I know that was very complex. And I'm appreciative of everyone's understanding of, we don't have every detail there, but it's a very fascinating design. So what are your thoughts on what they did there, Patty, with Flare Finance and the APY cloud?
Yeah, so I'm still going through this document, and it's definitely going to take us some more time to fully digest. But the APY cloud mechanism got me really excited. At first, I saw like, all right, we're going to have a decentralized exchange. we're going to have some yield farming and some other options. And then they throw in this bombshell of this APY cloud that's basically like a sustainability mechanism for the life of Flare Finance, to keep in line the earnings and the use of the actual products. So from the DEX to the Flare loans or Flare Mutual, and all the way to what the tokens are valued at. So it's like a mechanism to basically keep the whole economics of the entire system in line and like at a sustainable rate. So, it'll either release YFlare from this reserve pool to, incentivize some more use in providing liquidity and things of that nature. Or if, the token's price isn't appreciating to keep up with these, it incentivizes people to lock up their YFlare, YFIN in a bonding period. So I think we're going from like, let's just toss out a bunch of high, yield right at the beginning and get people to come on, to let's do that, but let's also offer long-term yield options and basically like a algorithmic monetary policy for the entire network, which is what I am really excited about us getting to, because, normally humans are very reactive. And I think we see that with a lot of the monetary policy that goes on now. But this is more of a preemptive solution to prevent it from getting too bad for people in the ecosystem and preventing a value drain in the case of like really harsh economic conditions. So this is a really novel approach, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And it's really cool that they're this forward thinking with it.
Yeah, and this is another example of utilizing the seigniorage. So that 40 million YFlare is going to be dropped to the Spark holders, but there's an additional 40 million YFlare that will be held back, and that's what the APY cloud will start out with. So just like Ripple has the escrow, Spark has Flare has the rewards pools of Spark, and now Flare Finance has the APY cloud, which is going to manage this 40 million YFlare that's going to be distributed out on top of the airdrop. And that's going to help it be able to do all the things that Patty said, is manage the monetary system for the price rise. And this is where your YFIN that you're going to earn, it will support its value in the governance staking, and it will also continue to drive the yield. So you'll always be earning. So this is great for us, and it's going to drive in demand from outside. Because on Ethereum, where DeFi started, you had a patchwork of all these different protocols together, and it was releasing new tokens just to earn, to basically artificially generate liquidity. Where here you have a clean slate with the Flare network, and you have low gas fees from the beginning, and this is the foundation, basically, for a new DeFi system to be built. It doesn't have to be built on the back of a experiment. Now the experiment's over, and now the real system will be put in on a network that is meant to handle it and do it right. So I like this aspect of how we've yet to really see something anywhere near this. This is a new design. And we have a video here that I found online, and I thought it was really an interesting perspective coming from a traditional markets guy. Now this is Jim Bianco, and I'm going to go over here to the video, and we'll take a listen, because he really gives it a good breakdown of what's possibly going to happen and how the third world and other countries are going to jump on DeFi, because they already have these phones. Everyone has a phone. Now, as soon as you have access to DeFi, it's really going to ramp it up. Where here in the US, we're kind of shut out at the moment.
I've tried to tell people is what you need to understand about this new DeFi system is it will start in the third world, and it will grow from there into the second world, third world, and then it will come here and completely flatten you, because you are not allowed to play in this sandbox, and you are not allowed to go there in a lot of different ways, because we've got all these regulations to protect you, but we're shutting you out. So it's just going to come from the rest of the world imposing it on us. And that's why we, the United States, I don't see us in any way being the leader in this. I think we are it's going to be rammed down our throat is what it's going to be. And part of the reason is, as a traditional finance guy, I'll come back to, I know traditional financial people that have accounts on Coinbase, and they just think that speculating up and down on the price of Bitcoin, that's it. Or maybe I'll get fancy and do it on Ethereum too. Have you opened the MetaMask wallet? Have you looked at some of these? What's MetaMask? And have you looked at yield farming? What's yield farming? Have you looked at what's going on in the DeFi space? What's DeFi? Matter of fact, a friend of mine did a quick search on the Wall Street Journal website. And in the last year, there's only 4 references to the word DeFi in the Wall Street Journal in the last year.
Wow.
No one has any idea what this.
So you see that right there, that they don't even have any idea about this really in the US. Like the traditional finance is just finding out about this DeFi and what it's able to do. And then you have all the negatives that come with the recent DeFi, which is the high gas fees and the rug pulls. So outside of the US, I think is really where it's going to drive this. And it's not that we can't participate, but traditional finance is not able to participate right away. So that leaves opportunity for those who know how to. What are your thoughts on that, Patty?
Yeah, so
On the US's role?
yeah, so this was a kind of opinion I formed, recently in the past few months. I kind of used to think that, our government wasn't really that far behind and they just weren't addressing it. But at this point, I don't think there's a real plan in place. Our legislative body is kind of just stuck with other things. They're not paying attention to crypto at all. And we're seeing it grow all around the world. And the US has very little access to a lot of these markets and new projects that are popping up. So it's definitely, I think it's indisputable that it's not growing outside the US. Even if you just look at XRP today, most of all that buying is not happening in the US, with like Uphold, one of the only exchanges still offering XRP. So I think he has an excellent point. And I'll add on top of the third world countries, kind of driving this. The US is still going to be a part of it. It's just, obviously more difficult, and we don't have access to as many projects. But I do believe, your everyday middle class, lower class person in the US are going to be the ones that kind of eventually push US institutions in that direction, because the value is just going to be leaving them and they're going to be left with no choice. I definitely think that the technology has surpassed a lot of our establishment financial institutions and regulatory bodies at this point, and they're playing some serious catch up. So he has some excellent points, and it kind of, and I'll tie this back into Flare Finance, like they're introducing decentralized monetary policy, and, and they're using the governance from people that actually have a stake in the system. So everything just is pointing in the other direction, that, the establishment players are ready for this and have like a legitimate plan in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really going to be, once you get into, the key is here to get the access or the gateway into the DeFi, then you basically be able to just stay in that system. You don't have to come back out. And if you do, they can make it easier to do. So something like Trustline, I see as a benefit for Flare Finance and all the Flare network, because if that could allow us to have that gateway for us to link our digital wallets then to the bank account and avoid going through Coinbase or through these big regulated endpoints, it'll then force those institutions to have to adapt and offer their customers a way in, because their customers will be demanding it or they'll be leaving. So I do think that there will be ways in, but the money isn't going to flow out as much. There is a couple things missing from DeFi that I think we still need, though. And there are certain kinds of customer protections where we do need insurance, and Flare Finance is doing that, where they have Flare Mutual, which is going to be like Nexus Mutual, but built for the Flare network. And that's really going to support, those customer protections in a way that instead of just in the traditional markets, your identity gets stolen or whatever, they just pay you back. Your credit card gets used by somebody else, okay, we just cover it. But in this, they're going to have to do that in a way, but also have a better system in place so that your identity, or your at least addressing, you could have like a pay string attached to it where it's verifiable. So you could actually do it right from the beginning. And I do think PayString plays a big role in this future here with DeFi.
Yeah, and we still need that super wallet application that is like aggregating a lot of these functions so that your everyday person can use it just like they would use Venmo or PayPal or something like that. At least for the more like easily accessible and low risk options, maybe it's good in the future to have like, kind of like a tutorial process to get into some of like the more derivative type stuff that is very risky. But we gotta open it up to everybody and make it easily accessible and usable.
Exactly. So there will be some people that will want to utilize this directly and go on to the Flare Finance app on the web, but there will also be then other entities that want to just like earn some yield, but they don't want to have to do all the little things. There will be services and I think business models built that will act as middlemen because it's needed to handle those users for the super easy interface. And like Blockset, for example, is building those types of super wallet capabilities so that then the fintechs and payment providers and institutions, all they need to do is build the front end. And then it's just one simple API to Blockset, and that handles all the aggregating on the blockchains. Because they're not going to be able to build nodes on every blockchain, handling all the data and the explorers and things like that. Those systems need to be aggregated to the back, and the front end, they just need a slick inner user face. But for us, I think we need really a wallet that will allow us to hold these F assets and then connect to the Flare Finance app, which is a very nice interface and fairly easy to use from the beta, which is going to improve as the Flare network goes live. And that's really going to be key that we have that like a MetaMask. We need a Web3 version that's going to allow us to maneuver things without having to lose our keys. And you could see even the Zum wallet has expanded now with the Tangum card and the ability to not lose your private keys. So that's something that PolySign has said they're working on the standard. So I think we see that super wallet that you're talking about, Patty, in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of to get back into just kind of like this future of DeFi and everything. In that video with Jim Bianco, he makes a great point about, there's tons of people like in Europe that are just sitting there that have negative interest rates on their savings accounts and bonds. When we get to a point where it's so simple that they can just put their money into something like Trustline, they don't have to earn, like the Probity Bank or decentralized crypto bank. They can just earn, pretty low risk, and they're beating inflation at least. So like they're not getting their life savings diluted by, just holding it in a bank account, which is a serious problem right now. So like when we get people like that to be able to easily plug into this and use it and feel safe, like that's when I think we'll see that these markets have really matured. And then on top of that, when you see the first pension funds start dipping their toes into DeFi, I think everybody knows that it's finally arrived at this point.
Yeah, this is what the power of programmable money is. This is really it right here with DeFi. This is opening up a difference from just looking at your Coinbase account and Bitcoin going up, down, up, down. Now you're opening actual financial services, financial products. The one thing that will be even, I think the really next step will be what Trustline's doing with allowing credit. So once we can get credit in there too in the mix, and the XRP ledger allows the gateways to plug in. So that will allow that ability that Jim Bianco was saying there that we're locked out. Well, somebody's going to let the masses in at some point because they're going to see monies to be made. And that will happen. But how much will it push before then? And that's why we have the opportunity here in the beginning. So as your XRP value goes up, you're able to utilize it and put it to work and then take advantage of the next revolution, which is the programmable money and DeFi.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to wrap on that note. I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
I'm Patty XRP.
And we're out.